I'm Abdu. Can I marry Karen?
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
Wa alaikum assalam.
A sister is asking this question about people of the book. She says that Muslim men are allowed to marry women from the people of the book. But if you look at the people of the book nowadays, meaning the Jews and the Christians, they believe in things that can make them mushrikeen. When Allah speaks about allowing Muslim men to marry women from the people of the book, meaning that these women don't have these beliefs, like they have to believe in all the prophets and the Tawheed as the Muslims believe and all of this. So her question is, are the people of the book of nowadays the same people of the book of the past time when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent that?
Bismillah, alhamdulillah, salatu ala rasulullah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allowed men to marry al-muhsanat min al-mu'minat wa min alladhina utul kitab. So it's not only that she has to be from the people of the book, but she has to be also muhsana. Just for the record, there is two conditions. Muhsana, there is a debate between the scholars what it means. Some said muhsana means she's not a slave, a woman, a slave girl at that time. She has to be a free woman. Some said no, muhsana, which is I lean towards that, which is a woman who is muhsana. It means not someone who practice prostitutions or allowed, or she sees like adultery as something okay or allowed, or practicing it with no feeling of any guilt or as a sin,
which is called promiscuity in nowadays.
You can say that too. So a trusted woman, or the woman who will protect herself and will basically will not engage in a sexual relationship outside marriage. So that's one of the conditions that the scholars have, or Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned. Also, some scholars have added some other conditions as well. For example, they said you cannot marry from people who you are in an active war with. So you cannot marry a woman who from a group of people you're in an active war with. But I'm not sure if this will be something, there's a consensus on it, but some of the fuqaha mentioned that. There is a trace to that to Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu and Abi. As well as there is some scholars have put a condition that this marriage has to be done, for example, in a land where Muslims dominate, to ensure that the rules of Islam will apply to marriage. So some fuqaha have put that conditions. Later, fuqaha or jurists have mentioned that, but also again, it's not something that I would necessarily support 100%, because the whole purpose of allowing men to marry from the people of the book is to make a relationship between the member of society.
That's a good point.
And one of the strongest tie is through marriage. And that will give an opportunity for the da'wah to be spread, for people to understand Muslim better, they married to them. And we know from the Sahaba radiallahu anhum, they married so many women, so many companions have married women who are not Muslims, were from the people of the book, and they end up Muslims, later on. Like Uthman radiallahu anha and others. In any case, one of the points that people always raise is what the sisters' concern is. Can we call them the people of the book even though they believe Jesus is God, or Jesus Son of God, or they pray to other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or they commit a form of shirk? And the answer for this, yes, because the Quran speaks in the same surah, the whole entire theme of the Quran, we talk about the people of the book, recognize that in that time, when this rule was legislated, the people of the book were people who pray to other than Allah, who were committed form of shirk. That's why Ibn Umar wanted to make that clear. He said there is no clear shirk than to say Allah has a son, or to pray to other than Allah. So Ibn Umar saying not because they are a people of the book, it means they did not commit a shirk. That's not true. It means they believe in a book. They believe in so many things that we believe in as Muslims, like they believe in Ibrahim alayhi salam, Musa alayhi salam, Isa alayhi salam. And even if there is changes in the messages or differences, But still, there is a lot of commonality. The moral, the ethics, the foundations of the act of worship, which is the salah, the charity, the being good to the neighbor. You will see a lot of common between religions, even with all the changes that happen to these religions through time. So, also there is a lot of rules related to the people of the book, other than just the marriage, and we apply it to the people of the book, which is they pray to Allah and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or they don't believe in Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. They don't recognize the Quran as their book or their message, but still consider people of the book. So the answer for this, yes, sister, it is allowed for them to marry such a woman. But I want to say, is it something that we encourage Muslim to do, especially in the West today, to marry someone who's not Muslim? We know that the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Idfar bidat ad-din taribat yadak."
Yes.
The Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, when you want to marry a Muslim woman, you should look for the most righteous one. And she's a Muslim, and you should look for the righteous one. So what do you think of someone who's not even a Muslim at all? There is no doubt that this is highly discouraged. And only you do it if that's, it's not the default. It should not be the common practice. It should happen, for certain reasons, for certain individuals, because certain circumstances happen and they got married. But it should not be something that we encourage and we open the door for it, because one of the reasons for marriages to be successful is that there is a matching between the husband and wife. The more there is similarity, the more there is success. So even when it comes to culture, we say it's important to marry someone who can relate to you. That's why we said, you might be from some Arab country or, some Middle Eastern country or Far East country, but you're born, raised in America. You're more likely to match and to
identify
with or relate, relatable to someone who born and raised in this country, even from a different race completely, than someone from your own race but live in other part of the world.
Right. Yeah.
So with this being said, I'm saying it's important for us to recognize this while we're making these choices, and definitely there is a big question for our brothers here. If our brother is going to marry from the people of the book, who's going to marry our woman? As Muslims. And that's why I highly encourage my brothers and sisters is to make sure that when they choose, وَالْأَمَةُ مُؤْمِنَةٌ خَيْرٌ مِّن مُشْرِكٍ.
Yeah, alhamdulillah.
A mu'mina is much better than someone who's not a mu'min, a believer, or a Muslim. But if someone, for certain reasons, fall in love with someone, or like there is a relationship between them, and she's a good, well-mannered woman, and a trusted woman, and he wants to marry her, that's fine. But you have to also take in consideration the outcome. Because in the beginning of the marriage, there is excitement and stuff like that. But when kids comes, when there are children, when later on in marriage, when things settle down, and there is now, differences, and like I have seen cases where fight broke up between husband and wife because, I want to take my children to church. No, I don't want them to go to church. No, I want this. No, I don't want this. It's okay for me to go party, to drink alcohol, to, no, I don't allow this. So there is a lot of problems can come up later in marriages. And you have to be aware of that. Marriage is not a temporary relationship. It's not just, the heat of the moment. No, it's a long-term commitment. And the more there is matching, the more there is understanding, the better it is. And I'm not saying it's impossible to have this when you marry someone from the people of the book, but it's much harder and it required a lot of more thinking. That's my experience when it comes to this. Not personal experience, but my experience with the community.
Yeah. And it is,
it comes to this issue.
Yes, we don't want to make it long. This actually deserves a whole lecture in and of itself. But if you, observe the cases where you have this interfaith marriages, there's always a problem with how to Yeah, I mean, with the children especially, you can find that there's
It's a
always
big challenge.
difficulty, that there are challenges that they face, and it will be like a confusion for the children as well.
I agree.
Right.
Allah
Right.
musta'an.
Jazakallah khair.
وإياكم.
Barakallah fi.